right, we're here with Coach Gerhardt in his it'll be his 6th season as head coach, twice at Lexington, and only at Lexington, all 6 years here at Lex. So Coach Gerhardt, I like to do this with, even though you're not a new coach, we'll say you are for the purposes of this interview. I like to do this with new coaches, get to know you a little bit of a off-the-wall interview, but
Right.
Coach, what is your favorite guilty pleasure song? Like the song you're embarrassed to listen to around anyone else, but you crank it up in the car alone.
I don't say I'm embarrassed, but it is certainly a guilty pleasure. Is Guns N' Roses, Every Rose Has Its Thorn.
Okay, I could see you belting that out. Yeah. Do you have a game day ritual, or are you superstitious when it comes to sports?
That's funny. That's a funny question for me because my staff would always make fun of me because I would tell them, I don't believe in that crap. We don't need to do the same wear thing or wear the same shirt. But then they would always catch me on the bus saying, wait a minute, kid, you need to sit over here. You sat in that seat last year or last game.
Yeah.
Or notice that I had the same thing on, or if there was a loss, there was something different that I did. So I think anybody that's competitive, that's played or coached, there's always some sort of superstition. I like to try to say I'm not, but I'm sure I have my own.
Do you have one that you can pick out right now, or is it just kind of like you get in the moment and you maybe do the same thing, but you don't really notice it till you're in the moment?
I like to have the same game day ritual on Fridays.
Okay.
I go up to the office when nobody is there.
Yeah.
I sit, I watch film or go over things. Sometimes I just like to sit in my office by myself. I'm very particular about making sure my bag's packed the right way because my dad drilled that into me. Don't ever be that guy that forgets your helmet.
Yeah.
So it does become ritualistic, but it's not necessarily something that I plan out. It's kind of like what you said. I find myself falling into those same patterns, and then when I don't do something, that's when I notice it. So I guess I am a little superstitious.
What's your, and this could be at any point, practice, off the field, even when you're just at home alone or during a game, what's your most embarrassing coaching moment? Is there a moment that former players bring up to you like every time they're around you and laugh about?
I can't say. I mean, even when I was an assistant coach, that I don't know. I mean, I remember back when I was younger, much younger, at times I would try to demonstrate something, so I'd grab it. Yeah, well, here's something funny. So it was when I was very young, and it was in the 90s, and I was trying to teach linebackers how to fit up appropriately with their head up and for proper stance and all of that, and it just wasn't happening. So we had a kid that eventually was an all-Ohio linebacker, and I made him give me his helmet. I put it on, strapped it up, told the next best player to run at me, and then proceeded to put the kid's mouthpiece in my mouth and clamp down this way, and you know, always barking the whole time. It doesn't matter. You got to focus on what you're focused. Putting a mouthpiece in someone else, it doesn't matter, which was ridiculous. And I'd still get kids telling me, remember, Coach, you put that helmet on and put so-and-so's mouthpiece in. I'm like, yes, I do, and I'm not too proud of that, but it was a teaching moment.
That is definitely a moment I've never heard before. So that's a good one. That's unique. I like it. Obviously, here at Lex, you got the natural grass. I think the stadium, in my opinion, it's the best place to call a game. It's the best place to watch a game around. You could argue Arlen Field is great for the history and the size of it. But so you can't say Lex, but what's your favorite place to coach an away game?
At Mansfield.
At Mansfield.
I love it because, well, number one, that's where I played.
Yeah.
My dad was a coach. I was a ball boy. That's where he coached. I grew up in Mansfield playing. and coached at Mansfield for years. And I just think that Arlen Field's an iconic, wonderful stadium.
Absolutely.
Lexington is the most beautiful place to play, I think, that I've ever been.
Yeah.
It is the traditional, iconic American high school football
Absolutely.
stadium. But Arlen Field is just fun.
Absolutely. If you could have the answer to one, like the definitive answer, you know it's the right answer, somebody with the authority could tell you, what conspiracy theory would you want to know the answer to?
Conspiracy theory.
Is there one that you just get caught in a rabbit hole every time you think about it? You start Googling it. And...
I have to say I don't. I'm trying to think here. What conspiracy theory do I get caught
It could even be
in
a local, something that not a lot of people know about. Just something that you've always been puzzled. How in the world, what happened there? How did that happen?
So, what has been really interesting to me is I love to read. I'm a big science fiction, fantasy novel geek, if you will. But I've always believed that the world, the universe, the galaxy, and everything's so big, there's got to be something else out there.
For sure.
And nowadays, our world has been so crazy the last year and a half that there has been the government coming out and saying, we are now sharing with you what our pilots, the most highly trained people in the world, are saying that they see as UFOs. And it's not big news. So I'm like, I've always been like, there's got to be something. They know more. And for them to come and say that, I just am like, okay, what do they know that we don't know? That if they're telling us this, what in the world are they not telling us? So if there's something that I kind of get caught up in, is maybe something like that.
Yeah, well, you're immediately with that answer, you're going to be my wife's favorite high school coach in the area. She literally every day is looking into this stuff. So, all right, you're speaking her language. Do you have any coaching heroes? Could be at any level.
Yeah, absolutely. My dad. My dad has always been my biggest hero. I grew up. He was a coach. Was a little guy running around as a water boy, ball boy, and he has always been what I aspired to be. Growing up, I'd always ask, my brother and I both would always ask Mom, what are Dad's records? What do we do? How can we beat him? What can we do to top him? Because he would never talk about that.
Right.
And then as a coach, I just always hoped to be as effective to the young man in the game that he was in my mind. So it's always been my dad and will continue to be. I still ask him, and he'll still he struggles a little bit with some health issues, but he'll still give me a zinger every now and again, like, ooh, I don't know, Dad, I need to think about that one. So that aspiration has always been my dad.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. What shows are you currently streaming right now? Are you into any?
I am. I do. I started one. What the heck is? It's a rarity now. I don't have time to do anything. Oh my goodness. I actually talked to my son and said, you got to watch this because we will exchange that.
Yeah.
Well, how about a book instead?
Okay.
I love to read. So it's called The Never Hero, and the third installment just came out. It's called The Never Army. And so every chance I get on my phone with audiobook or reading it back and forth, that's something. But I was a big Winter's Coming fan. I'm very, very pumped because one of my favorite fantasy series is the Eye of the World series by Robert Jordan that Amazon is making into a series, kind of tried to do what they did with the other ones. So I'm excited about that. So that when that comes out, that's what I'll be watching.
Okay. Besides football, what sport do you love to play, and what sport would you coach or want to coach if you had to choose another one?
If I had to choose another one to play or coach, I would track. I ran track. I know it doesn't look like it, but I was a sprinter at one time in
I
my
believe
life.
it.
But my daughter is a runner.
Okay.
And if there was anything that I would love to be able to do was to coach her in track. She runs cross country too. Cross country and running to me just doesn't go together because that's a long doggone way. So track, I
Yes.
can deal with. It's a finite place on a 400 meter oval, but I would love to coach track.
Cool. This is going to tell me a lot about you as a coach, and I think I already know the answer. But would you rather score 50 or give up 0?
Give up 0.
That's exactly what I thought you said. Without missing a beat. So you're a defensive guy.
I have always been, and I've always been lucky that I have had guys like Greg Nicolai, Jeff Strickler around me to help. I certainly have philosophies that we always stick to. We're going to run the football. We're going to run the football. And we're going to run the goddamn football. So, and we'll throw the ball. We have to. But any team that I play or coach or I'm part of, whatever defense or offense or special teams, in my mind, it's the toughest, most hard-nosed part of the game that you can get to.
Okay, so this could be as a coach or as a player, or whatever. What is or even just at home mowing the lawn? What's the dumbest way or the most embarrassing way you've ever been injured?
Well, I'd have to say it was my first year as a head coach at Lexington. We were teaching tackling again.
By the way, it always happens to the first-year coaches.
Yeah. Yes.
Every first-year coach gets injured.
Right,
That's always what it comes.
You don't know what you're doing. And I felt the need that I needed to demonstrate what the tackle would look like, and we had tackle bags, and we had purchased. It's pretty common nowadays as the tackle wheels, and you want to teach to take the head out of the tackle and protect kids.
Absolutely.
So we ordered these tackle wheels from a rugby program in Europe and had them shipped over. So ours still are actual rugby tackle wheels. So I was on the tackle wheel, and I went at it 100 miles per hour. And I tackled that thing, and I got up, and I knew I did something to my back. And I could barely goddamn stand up or walk around the rest of the practice. And we're sitting in my office at the junior high. My dean of students would come in. He knew when because my doors never closed, but I would close it because I'd have to lay on the floor to stretch my back out. It was such a horrible pain, and anybody that's throwing their back out knows what I'm talking about. So like half the season I was limping around like I was 80 years old. All because I felt like I had to show off and show the kids how to do something right.
I love it. If money is no object, or you can take your family with you. Obviously, I know you would. Some people may not, but take your family with you. Money's no object. Where would you move, or where would you live on Earth if you could live anywhere?
Where would we live?
Absolutely. Or you could visit somewhere, but
to live?
Yeah. Where would you live? You had to get out of Ohio. That was
I have to get out of Ohio.
We'll give you unlimited money, but you have to leave Ohio. Where would you go?
Jeez, I don't know. I haven't been enough places to answer that. I will tell you where we would visit for a long time.
Okay.
Is that fair enough?
Yeah.
My dad, my great-grandpa came over from Germany, a little village that's over 1,000 years old.
Really?
It's right in southern Germany. It's right between the Rhine. France is here, Rhine River's here, and the Black Forest is here.
Yeah.
A little tiny village named Tuchfelden,
Really?
Germany, in the Baden province. And my son actually studied in Berlin last
No way.
his junior spring semester, and got cut a few weeks short because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
He had to fly. So my daughter and I had a trip planned
Really?
to go visit the village because the church still has a record of the Gerhardt family.
No way.
There's still a house that was the Gerhardt house.
Yeah.
Listen,
Really?
when I say house, I mean
Yeah.
it's very modest.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
didn't come from anything.
For sure.
You know, I will always. It's on my bucket list.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be able to meet it, and we didn't. So if I were to have unlimited funds, I would go buy property in Tuchfelden. I would build a modest little place in Tuchfelden and be able to go visit there whenever I'd want to. Bring my family.
You
over.
do sort of give off like the German lumberjack vibes.
I do. I know my. If I ever did that 21andMe, I'd be very surprised if it was anything other than Eastern European.
Absolutely.
But, that's where we come from. So,
What's your biggest irrational fear? Something you know is never going to happen to you, but you worry about it. For me, it's alligators. I know that someday I'm going to get eaten by an alligator, even though I know it's not possible. But I know that's just going to be the end of me.
Something irrational.
It's going to be by an alligator. That's mine. I literally have nightmares about them. I wake up in the middle of the night because I dreamt about one chasing me.
Jeez.
By the way, as a side note, have you noticed, I am convinced that alligators are migrating and adapting north. Because in the last 2 or 3 years, there's been several stories about, and obviously it's people dumping their pets,
Right.
but they're finding alligators in random ponds out in western Ohio.
Really?
Yeah. Last year
I've never heard that.
there was a Boy Scout troop
that's
swimming in a
interesting.
pond and saw one coming at
Oh,
them.
my goodness.
In Ohio. So I'm convinced they're adapting.
Whew.
They're migrating.
Maybe it's possible. I don't know if I have a cool irrational fear. A fear of alligators is pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's
and my
disturbing.
brother has a irrational fear about spiders.
Okay.
I don't like spiders. I don't, but it's not an irrational fear. I guess maybe, and it's probably a pretty hokey answer, is I never leave my family without telling them I love them.
Yeah, no, that's
because I never, ever, ever, because
absolutely.
you don't know what life's going to give.
For sure.
I never, ever, ever want to come home and something, God forbid, and my kids sometimes roll their eyes. I'll make them.
Yeah.
I'll come back in the house.
Yeah.
And I make them do it.
That's
and,
understandable.
But maybe that's it, because I don't want to ever lose the opportunity to be able to say, you know what? At least I told them I love them.
For sure.
So it's pretty hokey. So
that's
not very cool answer, but that's all right.
It's just making you even more likable. I don't know how that was
I don't
possible.
know about
but
that. I need all the help I can get.
Well, that'll just about do it. Other than the fact that I want to give you the floor to say whatever you would like to the Lexington fan base as we head into 2021.
Fan base number one, thank you. I mean, for these kids to get followed and for you to cheer for them and to make them feel special and to make them feel part of the community and that the community is behind them is no other feeling in the world. It's absolutely incredible. So I thank you for that. Thank you, parents, for entrusting me with your kids. I'm pushing them and I'm loving them at the same time, and I hope to be able to put a good product on the field for the parents and the community. We're going to be tough, hard-nosed, and we're never going to give up. But I just kind of want to say thank you, and I appreciate the support. It's very cool that VSBN is here. I listened to them when you started, and so whatever support we can, and just remember that varsity sports are intense, but just remember they're kids. Yeah, and blame me. So they are kids, and they're giving it their best, and all they want to do is try for each other and their families. So thank you, and we're going to get after it.
Absolutely. Thanks, Coach.
All right.